everybody, welcome to TV Talk with Natasha and Kim. I am Kim, and that's Natasha.
Hello.
And we are going to recap the third episode of Grimm, A Dish Best Served Cold. So Natasha's going to give a little summary of the episode, and then we're kind of going to discuss what we liked and what we didn't like, and any thoughts we have of the upcoming episode. So Natasha, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, so the third episode, again, is titled A Dish Best Served Cold. And so the first opening scene is really gross because we have a blue bot, or what later we find out is a blue bot. We have this strange guy walking around. He looks bloated. They make that little weird sound that people make when they have, like, diarrhea or something. And so the stomach's, like, moving. He goes up into a tree, and then he, just busts open with his intestines, and it's just gross. So he just like, ah! And there you go, that's the opening scene. Great, right? And so then we see Nick shirtless, first time ladies, shirtless, and he's doing, like a physical test. And you notice that his heart rate's not going up. It's not going down, or it goes down slightly, but it just stays the same. And the poor doc thinks that his poor machine's broken, and it's not. The machine's fine, but they don't know that. So Nick's like, oh, well, I'm fine. And Doc's like, you must be really in shape. That's not the case. We see, yay, Monroe and Rosalie in a restaurant, and you have their little moments. And they say the L word, and it's so cute. And she even, later on, that's the move that she makes when he has he's smelling like this little dish or compliment of the chef, and it has meat in it. Rosalie's like, no, we're not trying to have you go off the bandwagon right now. So she goes ahead and eats it. Whoo! You're gonna find out later on that's like, what? Thank God for that, right? So then they say the L word, and then they meet this couple, one of Monroe's friends, named Ned, if I recall correctly, Ned. And so they're like, oh, well, Monroe's the guy to, do watches and all that jazz. So they leave, and Rosalie and Monroe still have their little moment. So we go to the police station. Captain Renard is on the phone with his little henchman in Europe, and he's like, Frau Peck needs to be contacting you. And so the guy's like, all right, well, I haven't seen or heard from her. He's like, well, you need to contact her. So we already know what happened to Frau Peck last season. So the little henchman doesn't know that yet. And so he starts digging around later on in the episode, and Adeline catches him. And so she's like, what are you doing? And so Adeline is also wondering who is going to be the new prince of the family, because apparently there's a lot of infighting, and she's wondering if she's safe because she's pregnant, although she's trying to get rid of it, but I'm not even going to go there. She still hasn't got her powers back. This is episode 3. I'm just gonna say that right there. So let's just forget about Adeline for a minute. And we go back to the case. Nick and, of course, Hank are assigned to the case of the guy whose inside just burst out in the tree. And so they're like trying to figure out what's happening, why did he bust out like that, and they can't really find anything as far as toxins or what have you. And then later on in the episode, they find out that he ate at this restaurant called Raven Rose, and they find out that Monroe and Rosalie also ate there. And then they find out that other victims that pop up in the episode also ate there. So they're starting to piece together that there's something going on with this restaurant, and they need to figure out what it is. And unfortunately, Ned, who you met earlier in the episode, and you're like, oh, okay, he's a cool guy. Well, he gets sick, and then he winds up dying, which ticked off Monroe. And you don't want to tick off Monroe, okay? You don't want to tick him off. And so he's like, why did they just kill him like that? And they find out that it's the people at the restaurant, the cook. He made this special dish that he serves to everyone, including, you know, the different Wesson humans, what have you, but it has an ingredient that only affects dogs, or, you know, a special type of Wesson, which is blue bot. And it's called the Black Despair, and it's like this mushroom. It's in Europe, and raw, it's fine, but if it's cooked, it's deadly to blue bot, and it makes their insides go kapooey. So Monroe's ticked. He's like, we didn't do anything to these, you know, Balschwein, and there's been a feud going on for years, and so the Balschwein are like, okay, well, we're going to take it to you first before you can get to us, and you killed, like, people in our family, so we're going to get revenge on anyone, even though you weren't directly involved. So that was their story, and Nick tried to actually put it, you know, down, like, you're not going to do anything, and you need to turn yourself in and stop killing blue bot. And the Balschwein is like, no. So there's this little operation. You didn't think it was at first, but thank God it was. So Monroe and his little blue bot pals try and jump this Balschwein, the cook, and then he's like, well, save me. And Nick and Hank, you know, come on the scene because they're cops. They're, you know, they're supposed to help people. And so Monroe's like, you know what, I'm going to kill him because he killed Ned and he had no reason to. We didn't go after him. So Nick is like, you know, you don't want to do this. You don't want to have revenge and all this other stuff. And then Nick shoots him. Well, you later find out it was all an act, thank goodness. And you actually saw a black boot bot. I was very surprised by that. That was just totally unexpected. So you have these other blue bot going around, you know, cat calling and all this other stuff. And then Nick's like, you need to turn yourself in. You need to confess that you killed all these people because you were hating on them. And so the guy confesses, and that's pretty much the end of the episode.
Yep, that's pretty much it. And you know what? I did notice there was an Asian bootbot, and
there was a black bootbot and there was an Asian bootbot. What was going on?
Diversity there, so it was really interesting. So I mean, I really liked the episode. I thought it was cute. How Monroe was trying to tell Rosalie that he wanted her to move in,
and then he loved her.
Yeah, that was really cute. Wu had his typical one-liner, "You got nothing," when the results came back from the talk screens, and I thought that was funny. I think Wu's basically there for comic relief, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, Wu is he's just a cool guy, and I want him to be part of the gang sooner rather than later. He needs to be part of the gang now.
Grimm is getting gross, though. I mean, the last two episodes were kind of disgusting. I'm like, ugh, I was eating, too.
I did not eat at the first scene of the show. Fortunately, I'm like, ugh, gross.
And does anybody else notice that Captain Renard in his trench coat dresses like the 10th Doctor? I mean, I was like, David did it! No, I mean, it's so funny, and what was with his outburst? It's like he was mad when he said...
Yeah, like, why... Yeah.
That was crazy. He's like, oh, you're just mad because you killed a human and not a dozen because you killed plenty of those, and I'm like, whoa.
Where did that come from?
I know. And that's all we saw of him.
Yeah, like, he knows, Nick, that he's not like other Grimm, so why would you even say that?
Nick looked dumbfounded, too. I felt kind of sorry for him, because he was like...
I think he wanted to talk to someone about the fact that this guy, he killed him, and that's probably the first time he ever even killed anyone, whether it was in a state or maybe even in the line of duty. So I think he just really wanted to talk to someone about that, but unfortunately he chose the wrong person to talk to, because Renard was dealing with his own stuff. Like, he's trying to make sure his brother's death no one finds out what really happened, and also what's going on over in Europe just in general because of the family. When he talked about, you know, who may have done it, that there may have been another family or the Resistance. Now, we know about the Resistance because we got introduced to that actually in Season 1 and off and on in Season 2, but there's another family that's like like a rival for like the throne of like Western world or something? Like, what's up with that? And who is this other family? And are there even more families? I would want to know about that.
I know they do a good job of only giving us pieces of information on that, because I think they kind of want to drag out the storyline, and I don't know exactly what direction they're going with that, but they do like to give us little drops and hints here and there, so it keeps it interesting. I'll say that. I'm getting a little worried about my air quotes when I said his brother is dead, because I would have thought by now we would have seen something to kind of point us in the direction that he's not really dead. We haven't seen it yet. That doesn't mean that he's really dead, but I'm getting a little antsy here. So we'll see what happens with that. You know what I do like? I like that Hank is on point. When they went in to look at the kitchen, and Nick saw that they all turned into, I call them little pigs because it's a long name and I can't pronounce it. But Hank was like, what kind? And Nick told him what kind.
Yeah.
And he didn't even question it. It's like he knew what that was. And I thought that was really cool. I'm like, look at Hank up on his Western studies. So
yeah. Yeah, and it's just interesting how they kind of twisted the whole little pigs and the big bag of wolf. Just because the pigs were on the offense versus on the defense. So I still think it wasn't fair for them to go against Bluebot that had nothing to do with whatever happened to their family. Like, I'm sorry that happened to you, but not all the Bluebots that you encounter are going to care two figs about you, to be honest. And maybe the person that owned the restaurant, experienced that a lot in Europe while he was studying, but at the same time, it's like, all right, really?
You're in Portland.
Yeah, you're in Portland. Most of those Bluebot, most of them that Monroe knows, maybe not vegetarian, but maybe, because he even mentioned, like, when they went on hunting parties, they hunted things that were legal, like animals that were not human.
Right.
Or different Wesson that they would have normally maybe hunted back in the day. So, I mean, there was no excuse. I kind of want to know what's going on with Frau, because I don't know her relationship with Captain Renard, and so the fact that he was looking for her I thought was interesting, and my goodness, anytime somebody says a house in the country in Austria, is that not what you think of? That house that they showed that he went through, that's exactly what I picture. A cottage just like that. I thought it was hilarious. Did you check out the name of the little town? That was a long name, and I'm like, what? I can't even pronounce it. Like, you just saw the long name, you're like, oh my goodness.
I think it was an interesting
name, but it was still long and pretty much unpronounceable, at least to me. So if anyone knows how to pronounce that city, I would really like to know, and definitely comment below, because I would really like to know.
Yeah, spell it out.
Spell it out for me.
Yeah, but you do a good job pronouncing the whole, even the different vests, and I'm like, bleh. And I took German, so epic fail on my part. I took German in high school, and I don't remember a lick of it. It's so sad. So sad. But yeah, that's pretty much our review of the third episode of Grimm, A Dish Best Served Cold. Guys, let us know what you think. Comment below. You can send us tweets. I'm at anime23, and the Nerd Element is at the Nerd Element, and Natasha?
At Willcat12, WILLCAT12.
Okay, guys, we will see you next time.
Bye.